Hey, welcome to the Cyber Savvy Woman, where women business owners reclaim their power in the digital world. We shatter the myth that cybersecurity is too complex to master and transform protection strategies into clear, actionable guidance. This is your digital empowerment sanctuary, where cyber fear becomes cyber confidence. Whether you're protecting client trust as a therapist or safeguarding financial data as an advisor, you'll hear from women founders who've conquered digital challenges and security experts who speak your language. Every woman leading a business deserves to feel unshakable in her digital decisions, no matter her technical background. Are you ready to stop letting cybersecurity intimidate you and start letting it elevate you? Here's your host, Rachel Schainker.
Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Rachel Schainker, a Silicon Valley technologist, as well as owner and operator of an award-winning managed service provider, CMIT Solutions, based in San Mateo. Welcome to the first episode of the Cyber Savvy Woman. Today's guest is a former reporter and Peace Corps volunteer turned video marketing pro. She is a founder of a boutique video marketing company specializing in high-end video production, social media strategy, and a video marketing coach for women business owners, nonprofits, and small businesses. Outside of work, she paints pet portraits, takes group fitness course classes, tends to her succulent gardens, and spends time with her family, including her beloved cat, Miles. With that, everybody meet my guest, Caron Shahrestani. Welcome to the Cyber Savvy Woman, Carone.
Thank you so much. Such an honor to be your first interviewee for this series. I'm very excited.
Thanks, Carone. You know, in this episode, we're going to be diving into the latest trends, tools, and strategies shaping the way small businesses use technologies to grow. From emerging platforms and breakthrough AI tools to marketing tactics that bring in clients on autopilot. We'll explore what's working now, what's changing fast, and how you can put it to work for your business. Let's get started. Carone, is there a technology topic you are passionate about right now? What should more people be talking about?
Yes. So the big news, at least around video, that's come out in just the last month was that YouTube Shorts have surpassed TikTok in daily views, like into the billions. And this is something that's kind of a shock to a lot of people since TikTok has pretty much dominated short form video since the COVID years. Another big announcement, which just came this week, was that Amazon has invested in a new streaming service called Showrunner that invites viewers to prompt AI to create a new pilot for a series or an entire series, like an animated series. And once that series is created by the AI, Showrunner will publish it to its library for other people to view and stream. So these are both really exciting developments in the video space, and I feel like more people should be talking about it.
Sure. So let's talk about the YouTube Shorts for a minute. Do you have any thoughts as to how or why that's taken over TikTok? I mean, do you think it's the kind of what happened last year with TikTok changing or coming down, or people just looking for a more steady platform, or do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, good question. It's a combination of factors for sure. There is the international and political landscape that affects it. People who have always been heavily invested into TikTok or who've grown audiences on that platform are now a little skittish as to whether or not it could be taken down for good. And people who maybe aren't as invested in the platform are wary of it because it is managed and controlled in another country, technically by the government of another country. So it's this concern about your information or your viewing habits or profile information on you that's being stored and analyzed by another country. But I would say the bigger shift that's caused this to happen is that all of the platforms that do short form video now, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube Shorts, all of them have basically been trying to play catch up since 2021, since TikTok was the most visited website in the world. And I at one point talked to an employee at Instagram, this was a couple years ago, and I was just like, how's it going with the platform, with Instagram, with Reels, with all of that? And he's like, at any time Instagram is trying to be TikTok in terms of mastering that same viral algorithm, but based on its work, it's about 18 months behind. So like anytime TikTok makes an advancement or adds a new video editing capability or a filter, Instagram or any of these platforms have been just trying to play catch up in being as creative and being as, in tune with this algorithm that really just can bring people into a deep, dark doom scroll of not even knowing what time it is. And all of a sudden they've been on TikTok for hours. So YouTube being owned by Google, I feel like is a big reason why that one has played catch up so well, is that Google is a major company. It isn't just YouTube, it's also Gmail and Workspace and calendars and stuff like that. So in a way, I feel that Google has been pushing YouTube Shorts algorithmically to encourage more people to lean into that particular format on the platform. And so when someone posts a YouTube Short and they get 1,000 views or 10,000 views or more, that encourages them to keep posting to that platform. And I feel like that's a big reason why it's now surpassed TikTok.
Interesting. So, I mean, is this, where do you think the short form video and AI generated shows are going to be headed in the next few years? And is it going to change how content is created and consumed?
Yeah, I think it's already changing in that there are times where my husband and I are both scrolling on social media and he'll send me a video. We like to send each other cat videos because we have a cat, and he'll send me a cat video and I'll take one look at it, like won't need more than like a couple seconds. And I'll be like, that's AI, like a cat diving off a high board into a pool with no splash.
Or the bunnies jumping on the
bunnies, and then they disappear, then duplicate. But he'll show it to me. He'll be like, look at this. And I'll be like, that's not real. That's AI. How can you not tell? So in a way, I feel like there are certain people, whether it's because of profession or overconsumption, are able to kind of tune in to that. But the more that AI advances, the harder it's going to become. And, I am a video producer. I'm a video editor. I've had a number of people ask me, like, are you afraid of job security? Are you afraid of people being able to just use an AI to edit their videos? Of course, there are already apps that you can use where it offers to take little snippets out to create YouTube Shorts or TikToks, or it'll remove all the ums or the dead space between your statements. And I haven't leaned too much into those yet, because I know, as we're talking about, in the next few years, they're going to get insane. And I really prefer, when it comes to my adoption of technology, I really prefer to start with the free versions of things and all of a sudden start subscribing to something that's super new. Because I know for every one video editing AI platform, there's going to be 5 to 10 more in the next 6 months to a year, and they're all going to be competitive with each other. So like when I first started ChatGPT, I started with the free version, still in the free version. When I first started using Canva for video, free version, still in the free version. So I know that for me, that's coming in terms of my adoption of video editing AI, but this showrunner thing is different, because it's not about marketing, and it's not about necessarily social media, and it's not about videos for your website or a video course for your business or anything professional. It is just entertainment. And so when you think of Hollywood and, all of the different, when you see the credits at the end of a show or a movie that has any sort of special effects, it goes on and on and on. All of these humans that are employed to like the gaffer and the grip and it's just like, if you can just type in a prompt and say, something creative, and then it creates a show, and then it publishes the show for you, and then people start watching it, and then that feeds your creative motivation to continue to do that. That's definitely gonna change the game. Hollywood will still have a place in the way that, what's the song? Video killed the radio star. There are a lot of people who thought TV would kill radio. There are a lot of people who thought internet would kill TV, like that kind of thing. So in a way, I feel like there will always be a place for these big production, actual camera, human productions. But when you think about how this type of technology makes show production or entertainment content production approachable for people who don't have the money, don't have the funding, don't have the training, don't have the resources. They're not an animation expert. They're not a videographer, but they just have to have a good idea. and it gets created for them, I mean, that is very empowering, even if I'm sure there are a lot of, different like groups and industries related to Hollywood that are probably freaking out right now with this news.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious to see what shows you create. I'll be looking for those. So what is there let's move on a little bit here. What is there a technology or workflow that you're using today that is really helping your business thrive?
So my COVID pivot was to shift from video production and in-person training and in-person workshops to video coaching and doing it virtually and doing more virtual workshops. And so when I was in that time of transition, I hired a coach who specialized in creating a very tight, specific funnel for a coaching program. He's a coach for coaches. So with his help, I was able to really kind of master the very intricate and for a lot of people challenging meta ad landscape. So I've been running meta ads constantly every day for the last 2 years. Those ads take people to a landing page where they can sign up to get a free guide, a lead magnet. And then that information that they put into the form goes into my active campaign, where they then get a series of automated emails that continue to speak to what the guide speaks to, but every single one has a call to action to book a call with me. So when I'm really on top of my game, I'm using the information from these forms to proactively reach out to people and say, hey, I saw that you signed up for my guide. Just making sure you got it, right? Just making sure it didn't land in spam, and then letting that segue into a conversation about like, so what made you decide to get the guide? But when I've got a lot going on personally, which that's this year, I've had a lot going on, people do auto book themselves out of this automation. So the money is going into Meta. I am paying out advertising dollars to Meta. The landing page and the email automation, those are services that I also pay for, right? Business expenses. But in terms of my energy and woman hours, I will wake up some mornings and have a new call on my calendar from a complete stranger who I've never met before, in a different state or a different time zone. And, when I have that conversation, if it's, of course, a different conversation than if it's somebody that you know personally or someone that you know from in-person networking. But at this point, like, that is probably one of the most empowering combinations of technology, because it is multiple platforms and it is an investment to keep advertising. But at the same time, Facebook Meta is really the monster when it comes to social media ads. Like, Google's trying to do it, LinkedIn's trying to do it, Instagram, Meta, same thing, but YouTube's trying to do it. But Facebook really does have it down to a T in terms of it having studied people's decision making, their interests, their likes and dislikes for over a decade. And so when you know who your target audience is and you know the type of client that you want to work with, and you're able to put that into the audience for your ad, it's very effective. And then when you have that funnel to get them into your list or to have them, have access to your calendar, that definitely increases conversion for completely cold leads.
And, if someone's new to targeted ads, what would be the first step that you would recommend they take to start seeing some results?
Absolutely. I would say avoid boosting, because anytime that you put a post on Facebook or Instagram and the platform says to you, hey, this is doing pretty well, maybe you should boost it and get more views, that is just Meta advertising itself to you. It's just trying to help you break the seal. Maybe give you some vanity metrics of, oh, you got a bunch of likes or you got a bunch of comments and that feels good. Did you get any clients from it? No, but you got a bunch of likes or followers. Oh, I think I'm going to do that again. It's kind of like the gateway drug. But the more effective thing, because it is such an intricate platform, is to create an ad from scratch. And again, takes a little practice, takes a little training and understanding, and it is part of what I work on with my clients. But it's like having that target audience, which doesn't just mean age and gender, but geography and interests. And then understanding that your if you're running an ad, you have to know what your goal is. So my ad takes people to a landing page that has a Facebook pixel on it, which is basically a piece of code that reports back to Facebook, did they fill out the form and convert? Installing a pixel on your website is some tricky stuff. I once had a triple pixel problem. I once had 3 pixels on one page and it was not delivering. But it's something where if Facebook can tell you exactly how many people did give you their contact information, then you're able to justify, is it 50 cents per person? Is it $5 per person? And so understanding what your audience is, but also understanding what you want the result to be. Because again, boosting tends to be more like, hey, get more likes or get more followers or get more comments. And there are other ones like have people direct message you as a conversion or have people call you as a conversion. But the best one would be for them to go to your website and fill out a form with their information on it, like capturing information, and then having that pixel to track how many people who actually visited your site did it. Because let's say 100 people click on the ad, go to your site, only 5 of them fill out the form. Your ad's doing well, but there's a difference or a kind of a misalignment between the verbiage that's on your ad and what they land on the page.
Yeah, how often do you look at those metrics and how often do you make slight adjustments?
Again, I used to be on it a lot more than I am today. I'm a little backseat driver in the funnel running, but when I was keeping on top of it, I would be looking at my stats every day in terms of how many leads does Facebook say I have, and then comparing that to how many emails I now have in my email automation audience. And if those were misaligned, I'd be talking to ActiveCampaign, I'd be talking to Facebook, and of course it'd be like, it's their problem, it's their problem. But when it comes to cost of a lead, anything over $10, it's a big problem. I'm spending the same amount of money every month, like budget, but how many leads am I getting for that money? It's like, ideally, it's more like $3, $4, $5 per lead. And so if it ends up being double that, then I'm looking at, okay, how can and that's when I'm looking at those stats, how many people clicked versus how many people converted. And do I need to now change even just the first line of the caption of my ad? Because my ad is like several paragraphs. There are a lot of people who don't even read the whole caption. They just read the first line and they see your little visual and maybe it has text on it and they click the button. And ironically, I've had so many when I'm on it and I'm calling people and saying, hey, did you get the guide? Did it end up in spam? I've had, you wouldn't believe, so many conversations with people where they're just like, I don't remember signing up for a guide. Like, as in they're probably doing a lot of ad pushing, like a lot of ad buttons, and you're one of many free guides maybe that they're signing up for. But then what's even more baffling is that I have conversations with people where they say, yeah, I signed up for the guide and I haven't read it. So it's almost like they know they need help. They know that their business isn't doing as well as they want it to. They know they need to do video. They know they need to be better about their marketing. And just pushing the button on the ad or pushing the submit button on the form on the landing page is like satisfying to them. Like, I am making moves. I am making progress. It's like buying the gym membership in January and just not going. But you felt really good when you bought the gym membership because you're like, I am taking steps towards my fitness. So
I love that. Well, thanks, Caron. Is there something tech related that you're proud of? Is there a process, a mindset, or a tool, something you want to share with us?
I use a lot of different apps on my phone for creative editing, video editing, photo editing. But one of the ones that I have really been using a lot the last couple of years is called PicsArt, PICSART. And initially, I signed up for it because it's a good makeup app. Like, I am not a makeup girl. Like, I have no mascara on right now, and I should. But it's like in certain situations, I would rather take a barefaced photo and then in the app, give myself a little lip gloss, give myself a little concealer, give myself a little mascara. Just like I'm very much a tomboy. I'm not very girly girl most of the time. So that was like how I got into that app. But since I've leaned into all of its different capabilities, because any of these photo apps are competing with hundreds of other photo apps, so they have to keep adding, editing features. And in the last 6 months, it's added several AI features, and they are super cool. In terms of like, I do big video and photo editing on the computer. I subscribe to the Adobe suite, so I could definitely like lean into Adobe Photoshop if I need to for a project. But that's just so much work, and it's firing up the big computer. And if I can do it on my phone real quick for social media, I'd rather do it there. So PicsArt has one tool is called AI Expand. So imagine that you have a picture of yourself that's vertical like this, and then all of a sudden you realize you want to use it for a YouTube video cover, which is horizontal or landscape, or you want to use it for a header on your website or a header in an email, again, wide, not tall and narrow. You put that photo into PicsArt, you click AI Expand, you tell it what you want the new ratio to be. So instead of 9:16, you want it 16:9. Like, you don't want to have to crop and lose any part of the photo. You want to add to it. So you press start, and it reads that you have a brick wall behind you, a bush next to you, a blue sky above you, and it will fill it out in a matter of moments. And sometimes it's like a little wonky. Early AI is, but it allows you to keep, let me see more, let me see more, let me see more. And so that's been awesome for me in terms of working as a social media marketer and manager for clients. Like, they send me something and I want to put it on Instagram for them, or I want to put it onto LinkedIn for them, but it's not the right ratio. I just pop it in there and like fill the space. The other one is AI Replace. And that one's super cool because, again, it's got makeup app functionality. So it's like you want to take out a little blemish, or you want to smooth a stray hair or darken a gray hair. That's all got its own editing functions. But AI Replace would be like, I'm wearing this sweater, but I want to wear a blue sweater to match the template of whatever I'm putting the photo into. So you just select, with your finger, select this, and then you type in, make it a blue sweater. I have a client who has hyperpigmentation. His face is a darker brown. His neck is almost like albino. And I did some professional headshots with him with a big camera, and I sent them to him, and he's just like, is there anything you can do to make my neck match my face? Like, I know this is how I look in real life. Like, he doesn't put makeup on it or anything, but he's like, for my professional headshot, like, I'd prefer for that to not potentially be a distraction. So I like selected his neck and I said, match it to his face. And a couple seconds later. So really cool stuff as far as making your content social media ready, making your photos social media ready, putting a little mascara on.
That's great, Carone. So, we've been talking about these tools that you use in your day-to-day business, but can you share with us, how you ended up in this current position and kind of what your career path has been?
Sure. So I did go to University of Oregon for newspaper reporting. I had the dream of being a broke newspaper reporter. I actually had a dream of like, because I'm child free, never wanted to have kids. I actually had a dream of like being a war reporter and then potentially like dying in the country I'm reporting in. Like, I would read biographies of women and I'd be like, yeah, that's going to be me.
Oh my God. Carone, I could actually see you doing I could see you in the war on the front lines for sure.
War correspondent, let's go. Never was really interested in broadcast, ironically, considering what I do now, but it was more about giving a voice to the voiceless, investigative reporting. That was really, I felt like, my calling. And so, unfortunately, I got a little jaded when I was working at the Detroit Free Press in their business department one summer, because this was like 2004, 2005. They could almost already see what was coming with the internet. Like, this was pre-blog and pre-Facebook, but they're like, young people aren't reading the paper anymore. And I'm like a fresh college graduate. So anytime I had a good story idea, my business editor was just like, put it on the front page, like, get the young people to read it. And I started to get flack. I started to get heat from like seasoned career reporters in this gigantic newsroom that were like, excuse me, that has to do with food. That should have been art and culture. Excuse me, that has to do with cars. It should have been an automotive. And my editor defended me. He's like, it was her idea. We're not going to like give you her idea. And they had to do with the business of food and the business of cars or whatever. But still, that kept happening. And I had a moment where I'm just like, I'm here not for the money, not for the fame, but is that going to be me in like 20 or 25 years? Am I going to be like besmirching younger reporters because like, what is the real problem? My first and last name is not at the top of a piece of paper. Like that's all you're striving for, apparently. So I took a step back, and I had at different times, University of Oregon is in a conservative state, but it's a very hippie campus. So I had heard about Peace Corps, and I decided to apply. I was fluent in French because my grandmother, when I was in middle school, I had a choice of French or Spanish. In California, should have chosen Spanish, but my grandmother was like, if you learn French, I'll take you to Paris. Little 11-year-old me was like, sweet. So years later, I have a journalism French double major. And so I decided to join Peace Corps and really envisioned myself in Africa, partially because of the colonization of African countries and African tribes being forced to speak French. And I was speaking French because I wanted to have croissant, so the Peace Corps pivot was a big one for me. And when I had a lot of connections, like networking connections in the journalism world, and everybody I talked to, every editor, every recruiter was just like, this is going to make you an even more valuable reporter. The international experience, the third world experience, the developing country experience, like when you come back, you're going to have a lot of opportunities. I was gone 2006, 2008. In that time, the mortgage crisis hit, blogs started to come into vogue, and Facebook hit. And essentially, newspapers almost died. And every single recruiter that I knew no longer had a job. And all of those older reporters at the Detroit Free Press that were like complaining about me got let go and were replaced by 20-somethings who could do more than one thing, right? Because newspaper was like, you're the writer, you're the photographer, you're the editor. Then all of a sudden they started combining positions. Like, no. Like, we got to get people who can take their own photos and do their own editing and that kind of thing. So when I came back, I was like, well, my whole family's in the Bay Area. I really want to go back there. So I got into retail, specifically high-end clothing retail. I worked at two different stores. So I was working 7 days a week because San Francisco, even back in 2009, was still so expensive. And Peace Corps doesn't give you a lot of money when you're done with your service. It's like pennies. So I was working 7 days a week between a French lingerie store on Polk Street and a high-end men's and women's clothing store that did like suitings and gowns and that kind of thing, commission-based, kind of sharky. That is where I met my husband. And as we got to know each other, he learned my whole story. And at one point he was like, your soul is going to die in retail. Like, you have so much creativity, you have all this fire, you have all this like passion in you, like selling clothes for commission, that's not using your talents. So he covered us financially for a little bit while I did some soul searching. I talked to a family friend and who's a search engine optimization expert, and we had a heart to heart. And he's like, if you could start any company for yourself, what would it be? And I'm like, a video marketing company, because I had apprenticed under a couple of different video companies here in the Bay Area, partially because when I was in Africa, I was capturing photos and videos, but the videos, what really, for me, the music, the energy, the movement, like the dancing, that kind of thing, it just made such a difference to me as far as like my memories of that place. And I could see the video was, ramping up all over. And so that SEO expert family friend was like, okay, tell me what you need gear wise, and I'll fund you. Like, get the camera, get the computer, get the hard drive, get the software. And then when we started talking about repayment, he was just like, angel investor, we're good. So that was a huge launching off point for me. I did focus primarily on videography and video production at first, but then, like I said, that led to also social media and training, because people kept being like, thanks for the video, what do I do with it? Thanks for the beautiful video, how do I put it on YouTube, or how do I put it on my website? So training and the coaching and social media came. But then when COVID happened, it was the big virtual pivot for me. And so I still do big camera, professional video production. I still do professional editing with Adobe Premiere Pro. But most of my work now is coaching and training women, mostly women over 60, online on how to create a video strategy and really get themselves out there in this highly competitive market.
Yeah. So when you did kind of that big career pivot, what was the biggest challenge moving from, high-end retail to video marketing? I mean, since you had an angel investor, it seems like that was kind of covered, but what was there?
I had good gear. Yeah, that helped.
Yeah, exactly.
Interestingly enough, even though all these editors and stuff told me when I left for Africa that it would be a great opportunity when I came back, daily newspaper reporting is all about your clips. What is the most recent story that you had published? And Peace Corps actually has a contract you sign where you're not allowed to do anything for pay, like publish any articles or magazine for pay while you're in service. So I came back 2 years being in Africa and I had 3-year-old newspaper clips. So even if I wanted to get back into newspaper with the few opportunities that there were, I was not competitive with people who had been regularly covering their beats. Video production is a lot like that. Hey, hire me to shoot a video for you. Cool. Can I see some of your work? So the biggest challenge was getting the portfolio. Yeah. And that kind of common with women business owners and service providers, that went hand in hand with undervaluing myself. Oh yeah, I'm going to severely discount this so that I can get this clip, so I can get this portfolio building. And then at some point there was growing pains in terms of accepting that you have enough of a portfolio, accepting that you have enough video work to show people. But now what do you charge? And what will people say yes to? Because at this point, you only know people saying yes to a cheaper price point. So that was another part of the coach for coaches, even though coaching is not video production, it was understand, especially as a woman, but any entrepreneur or service provider, every time someone says yes to your current price point, count how many yeses there have been. And after 5 people have said yes to your current price point, it's time to increase your price. You're not growing or expanding or scaling your business until your time becomes more and more valuable. And the growing pain of that is that you got to get some no's in there to know you're doing something right. You got to get some people in there being like, oh, I'm sorry, that's just a little more than I thought it would be. And you're like, cool. There are other people out there that will see the value in me, but apparently this is not happening today. So,
I mean, you touched on this a little bit, but maybe there's more to it. How did you decide to move from, creating video to coaching others? Was there a pivotal?
Yeah, again, I kept making content. Initially it was the portfolio building stuff, but after a while I started making content, and it's different if it's a small business or a medium business and they have a team. So you give your video to their social media person, they know what to do with it. You give it to their website person, they know what to do with it. But when it's a solopreneur, they're like, I need a video. And then they get the video and they're like, now what? So the social media management and done for you kind of video publishing and social media publishing, and then group and one-to-one training kind of became a natural evolution of what I was doing, because I appreciated that people were hiring me to do this, high quality work, but I don't want that just sitting in a Google Drive somewhere, never seeing the light of day because they don't know what to do with it or how to maximize it or how to have an effective strategy around it. So when the COVID pivot happened, what really the catalyst was that I have a couple of nonprofit clients now, but the longest one I've had is a art nonprofit out of Marin County called Marin Open Studios. And I've been with them since 2018, so since pre-COVID. And the coolest thing about working for nonprofits during a pandemic is that their budget is set for the year, come what may. It's not like a small business where they're like, we haven't had any clients for a couple months. We're sorry, we have to let you go. We can no longer use your video or social media services. Marin Open Studios was like, all right, well, we got you, but we're obviously not doing in-person art marketing or art video workshops right now. What do we do? So I pivoted to Zoom. And now I have this gigantic library of, it is focused on art marketing, but it applies to a lot of things, workshops on their YouTube that I've done. And that's kind of a nice resource I can offer someone when they do say that they can't afford to work with me, but I don't want to leave them high and dry. I'm like, here's a playlist of 26 workshops that I've done over the last few years, and feel free to watch them and let me know if you have any questions. But that was like it was having that client who was able to continue investing in me, and they're like, well, we got to make something happen, even if we can't do it in person. And then when I, like I said, hired this coach, I had already been thinking of landing pages. I had already been thinking of automation. I'd already been thinking of having a lead magnet, but it felt like so much. Like it felt like so many moving parts. And I know I could probably try to figure it out on my own, but it would be like the trial and error of that. So I still have that coach 3 years later. So I really walk the walk when I coach clients today, because I can hear them say those things back to me that I would say to myself. Oh, well, I'm just going to YouTube how to make my own videos. I'm just going to Google how to do my own email marketing with videos and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you absolutely could do that. It's just going to take a lot longer. And there are going to be times where you have a problem or where it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. And the support or chat or customer service of these platforms is stark. Like it is basically chatbots across the board. And then you got to know how to navigate the chatbot to get a human. And even then, right? So that's something that it's interesting to be investing in my own business through coaching. But then when I have conversations with people where they're just like, I don't want to get too religious, but I actually have had people say to me, my business isn't growing as fast as I want to, but God will help me figure it out.
Oh, okay.
God will show me the way. And and I shared that with my coach, and he's like, what you say to that is that God put us on this call today.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's like, perfect. Yes, God will help you, but one of those things is that you click the ad, you click the email, you set the time. We are here talking now. Like this is part of God's work. Yeah, that we are having this conversation.
That's awesome. So you and I, we know each other from local networking. We're both here in the Peninsula, in the Bay Area. How would you say has in-person networking shaped your business compared to online marketing? Is it 50-50? How do those two things sit together for you?
Yeah, it's a pendulum that swings. When I first started, because my angel investor was an SEO expert, he's just like, WordPress website, email marketing, digital. And so I leaned heavily into that for the first couple of years. And then after getting to the point of having a portfolio, I was like, okay, how do I get clients for a higher price point? They're not just coming in through my website, or they're not just coming in through my social media efforts. So I actually hired a business coach really early on, and she's just like, well, how's your ground game? Like, have you ever gone to a networking group like BNI? Have you ever thought of joining a chamber? And so that's when I was like early 30s, and you go into a chamber or a Rotary meeting, and most people are double your age. So, but that is a completely different skill set. And the only reason why it worked for me is because of newspaper. Like the whole training of newspaper is like someone hands you something and says, go and interview this complete stranger for an hour. Don't be shy. Look them in the eye, shake their hand, get their respect, get them to open up, then come back here and write a 15-inch story about it. Just kidding. We don't have room for that. A 5-inch story. So newspaper helps me with video editing as well, as far as like get a lot of content, whittle it down to the best stuff. But I'm an elder millennial. Not every millennial has that skill set. It's like we grew up with rotary phones and fax machines and black screen computers with green text and all that kind of stuff. But, in theory, you also grew up with shaking people's hands and eye contact and that kind of thing. So I know for younger entrepreneurs, the whole idea of going into a room of strangers and people who are older than you and just being social can be like total anxiety. But that led me eventually to Polka Dot Powerhouse. And again, the COVID years, that went more to the digital. So I absolutely was not doing any in-person networking. So that's where I was like really glad that I had this website, really glad I had this social media presence, because people weren't out and about at mixers and ribbon cuttings anyway. They were glued to their screens because they couldn't go anywhere. But the post-COVID, pendulum swing has actually been back to the in-person. Like, still getting leads through my ads. I'm still getting digital, action, like social media, like DMs. Oh, can you do a video shoot for this day? And oh, I'm interested in your free guide. But it is, having done networking before COVID and still doing networking now, that like some of these people that I see at little lunches and events have known me for 8 or 10 years.
Sure.
And maybe in 2016, 2017, 2018, they knew they needed video, but it wasn't like a priority. Post-COVID, I feel like it's now known. Everybody needs video. So in a way, they're like, well, who's the person I've known the longest that's a video person, right? So I've had a lot of success this year, 2025, from in-person networking, but it is long game. It is people who've known me for a long time and who in those pendulum swings to the digital years were watching me do the digital stuff, the workshops.
Yeah. They know you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I've been on their radar for a while, but
for sure. Was there a story that we didn't get to that you would like to share? Something, about women, empowering women, anything else you would like to talk about and share with us?
Well, one goal I have, like maybe in the coming years, at some point, I've always said to myself, I want to start an all-female multimedia co-op where we already have them in terms of men, where you can go to one company and you've got a dude web designer, a dude videographer, a dude social media manager, a dude tech specialist, IT person. And if there's anything having to do with content or creative, it's all through dude brains and dude eyes. So I feel like there's a real desire for the female perspective in people's marketing and like digital strategies. And so one day I'd like to start a co-op where it's like, it is just a big group of women who do different things. And there could be like no competition. There could be multiple website developers. There could be multiple IT specialists. But I like this idea of people being able to go to a one-stop shop and have an all-female perspective and plan on how they can market themselves, secure their business online, protect themselves, scale their business, create content. And I shared this with another person earlier this year, and she's just like, that would also be really cool, is like chapters, like regional chapters. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds even cooler.
Scale that.
Like get another group of women and be able to refer and like that kind of thing. So that's one thing that I'm just like saying it to kind of manifest it for myself, because that's like kind of one of my passions. But
very doable. Carone.
Yeah.
Doable.
No, let's do it. You and me. Let's start it.
Yeah. Exactly.
But the other thing that kind of comes up a lot for me, because I do, like I said, I work with women. Sometimes they're older than me. I've also worked with women who are younger than me. I've worked with men. But what I find with women is we have like a societal pressure to be picture perfect, right? Like makeup filters and social media curation and stuff like that. And because of that, we overthink. And because of that, we feel like we need to be overqualified before we do something. And statistically, men are not like that. They will apply for jobs that they are not qualified for and still get it just because of charisma and bravado. But in terms of tech and how that relates to tech, it is something going back to childhood for a lot of women as far as why they think they can't grow their business, or why they think they can't make their own videos or do their own marketing. And some of it is, if we're talking about growing your business, being on your numbers. I talk to women in these calls and strategy calls, and I'm like, how much did you make last month? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, girl, then how do you know if you're going to make more this month? And I have a lot of women I've worked with where they're just like, I am tech challenged, like where you can tell it's a story that they've told themselves for decades, maybe, like that they've always been tech challenged
since their childhood, right?
Right. And so speaking to childhood as an 80s baby, I feel like this is one of the things, because again, I'm sure it was even more like sexist and misogynistic in like the 50s, 60s, and 70s. But in the 80s, I had a Barbie. She was very high tech, and she had a speaker in her chest and a button on her back. Because of course, you strip her down naked, because that's what you do. And when you press the button on her back, she had 4 statements. And I could probably Google what all of them were.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the two that always have stuck with me over the years are math is hard and let's go to the mall. And in a way, it's like products like that, mantras like that, hearing a female voice, even if it's a little recorded voice on a doll, hearing a female voice say math is hard, it's almost like permission, like cutting yourself some slack. If, I'd rather art is my favorite class, not.
Right. Yeah. What would you like Barbie to say today to young children? Right. What should they say? What should they say today?
I mean,
Anything
if it was
possible.
like business Barbie, I would want it to be like, be on your numbers,
Yep.
grow and scale,
Mm-hmm.
always be closing.
Yes. Nice.
And then like one woo-woo one, like passion and purpose, getting like a little, like not all, stereotypical dude phrases, but I feel like whether she was in like a little business suit or she's a doctor or whatever, like hearing those words from a female mouth and knowing that you're not trying to be a man or you're not manning up. It's none of those descriptions. It's just like, no, you want to be a boss. Not necessarily a she boss, not necessarily a femalepreneur. You just want to be a boss. You want to own your own business. And you got to be on your numbers. You got to always be closing, but then passion and purpose, like women especially will burn out if we don't have a bigger why beyond just making money, so.
Carone, that's so good. All right. So before we wrap up, I have a little game for you. It's called Rapid Fire. I'm going to throw a handful of quick questions your way. You have 5 seconds to answer each one. I know you'll do it quick because you have a quick mind. No overthinking. First thing that pops in your head. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What's one app you can't live without?
InShot.
Okay. Laptop or tablet?
Laptop.
First thing you do when your computer acts up?
Call you.
Okay. There we go. One tech shortcut or tip you swear by?
Restart the device.
There you go. Worst password you've ever used?
Oh, what if I'm still using it? No.
Well, all right, you can't use that one.
Probably just like, first and last name.
Yeah. One thing you always back up, no matter what?
My client's content.
There you go. And coffee shop Wi-Fi, yes or no?
Sometimes.
Okay, we'll talk about that. And one piece of tech you wish somebody would invent for small business owners?
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Makeup filter for video. That isn't obvious.
Okay, there you go.
Like when I don't move my head and then the mascara moves.
Oh, it's over here. Yeah. Okay. And in one word, technology is?
Essential.
Ooh, I love it. Okay, great job. Okay, so Carone, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your insights. I know our listeners will walk away with ideas they can use right away. For those tuning in, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other business owners who could benefit. You can find Carone's links and resources in our show notes. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on the Cyber Savvy Woman.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
The Cyber Savvy Woman podcast requires more than a conversation. It takes action, research, and collective wisdom. If today's episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear your insights. Join the conversation and help us shape the future together. We'll be back with more stories, strategies, and real-world solutions that are making a difference for everyone. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe, rate, write a review, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it too. Hey, thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode.